8 charged in scheme to smuggle endangered monkeys from Asia, US says. Cambodian wildlife officials, black market dealers, and top executives at a monkey breeding company conspired to illegally export long-tailed macaques to the US, prosecutors said. Federal prosecutors have charged 8 people with running an international monkey smuggling operation in which hundreds of the endangered primates were poached from the wild in Southeast Asia and shipped to the U.S. for research purposes, the Justice Department said on Wednesday. 2 of those charged, Omelas Keo, 58, and Masful Cry, 46, were Cambodian wildlife officials who federal prosecutors said betrayed their duty to protect endangered species. Instead, the officials took payments from conspirators to facilitate the scheme, which centered on long-tailed macaques, also known as crab-eating macaques, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida. The long-tailed macaques, petite primates with pinkish-brown faces that live near water and wetlands in Southeast Asia, are protected by international trade law. A permit is required to bring them into the U.S., where they are often used for biomedical and pharmaceutical research. Reputable breeding facilities typically supply the monkeys for export. But prosecutors said that the 8 conspirators, who sought to make up for a shortage of suitable long-tailed macaques, obtained the monkeys from national parks and protected areas in Cambodia and shipped them out after falsely labeling them as captive bred. Wild populations of long-tailed macaques, as well as the health and well-being of the American public, are put at risk when these animals are removed from their natural habitat and illegally sold in the United States and elsewhere, Edward Grace, the director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Office of Law Enforcement, said in a statement. Each of the 8 people was charged with 1 count of conspiracy and 7 counts of smuggling. In addition to the Cambodian officials, the others charged were James Man Sang Lau, 64, of Hong Kong, Dixon Lau, 29, of Hong Kong, Sunny Chan, of Hong Kong, Raphael Chung Man, 71, of Cambodia, Sarah Young, of Cambodia, and Hing Ip Chung, 61, of Cambodia. Thanks for reading The Times. Subscribe to The Times. The smuggling charges each carry a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, and the conspiracy charge has a maximum penalty of 5 years. If convicted, the defendants could also be fined up to $250,000, or twice the financial gain they made during the scheme, prosecutors said. Masful Cry, a deputy director for the Cambodian Department of Wildlife and Biodiversity who was arrested on Wednesday at Kennedy International Airport in New York, did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment on Wednesday. Omelas Keo, the Director General for the Cambodian Department of Wildlife and Biodiversity, also did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment on Wednesday. The 6 other people charged in the case could not immediately be reached for comment, and it was not immediately clear if they had lawyers. Editor's picks. Frank Ocean shows us a more human way to perform. After decades of drinks and laughs, is it last call at the Friars Club? At 81, Martha Stewart is the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover star. The Cambodian Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries also did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment on Wednesday. From December 2017 to September 2022, Masful Cry helped bring captured wild macaques to Vani Resources Holdings, a Hong Kong-based company that breeds monkeys for research, according to an indictment unsealed on Wednesday. Sometimes, the indictment states, he would personally deliver the primates himself to the facilities, which were operated by the co-conspirators. 2 top executives at Vani Resources Holdings, James Man Sang Lau, the founder and owner, and Dixon Lau, the general manager, secretly worked with dealers on the black market to acquire the wild-caught macaques and launder them through the Cambodian entities for export to the U.S., prosecutors said in a news release. Vani Resources Holdings could not immediately be reached for comment on Wednesday. It's unclear how many illegally smuggled monkeys ended up in the U.S., but prosecutors said that they had tallied about 3,000 unofficial monkeys that were illegally allowed to be exported. On May 11, 2019, a shipment of 360 long-tailed macaques in Alice, Texas, contained about 74 monkeys that had been caught in the wild, according to the indictment. On June 27, 2019, 194 more of those monkeys arrived in Alice, Texas. And on November 11, 2020, 323 macaques were delivered to Miami. The shipments that arrive in the U.S. hold enormous value. One of 396 long-tailed macaques on November 11, 2020, was worth more than $1 million, the indictment states. That valuation is echoed in the huge sums of money that black market suppliers were paid for their dealings, prosecutors said. One, who is referred to as Black Market Supplier D in the indictment, received $10,380 for his delivery of 60 wild-caught macaques to a Vanny Resources Holdings facility. Another got $8,360 for about 38 more. In a span of about 8 months in 2020, Vanny Resources Holdings paid more than $2.5 million to 7 black market suppliers, which, in return, gave the company more than 14,000 long-tailed macaques caught in the wild, the indictment states. The practice of illegally taking them from their habitat to end up in a lab is something we need to stop, Juan Antonio Gonzalez, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, said in a statement. Greed should never come before responsible conservation. The Long-Tailed Macaque Project, an organization that aims to raise awareness about conserving long-tailed macaques, says on its website that the legal and illegal trade in primates remains a significant threat to primate species throughout Southeast Asia. Long-tailed macaques have long been known as the most heavily traded primate species in the world. From 2008 to 2019, at least 450,000 live long-tailed macaques, both captive and wild-caught, were part of this trade, according to the organization. The Long-Tailed Macaque Project estimates that about 50,000 of them were caught in the wild. Mr. Grace, the director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Office of Law Enforcement, said that officials had sought to end the wholesale poaching of long-tailed macaques from the wild and shut down this criminal organization,